Hi everyone, it's Diane Evans with stampingwithdiane.com. I'm an independent Canadian Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the interior of British Columbia. So welcome to World Card Making Day. This is a diversified sort of type World Card Making Day. So you might see a lot of different types of cards that you go, oh my goodness, what would I use that card for? But trust me, we all have a reason behind whether you use and case the card or whether you go and you basically use the idea that we have and go with it. So, in any event, what I am talking about, or what the card that I'm doing, is about the Stampin' Up community. The Stampin' Up community is one of those communities that you stamp with people and people encourage everybody, and it's just amazing. So I want to show you, and I'm just going to jump on right on down to my desktop here. I am going to create a card that is a welcome card that could be a welcome to somebody that joins your stamping community on your team, or it could be welcome to a club that you may have, or it might be just welcome into our group of stamping and that sort of stuff. So I am using this cheerful basket bundle, and it has this great crafting sort of type thing. And then it has a basket, but I didn't want a regular wood basket. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make that with some of these dies that are there. Now, if you are a member of and you are a Stampin' Up demonstrator, you can purchase this stamp. It's not available for other stamps, but we could use this welcome. I really like this Let's Create Together. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in with the Stampin' Up team or a group or anything like that, but you just might want to do some kind of a craft party or something like that. So that's why I'm going to use that. And then I'll show you some other things that you can do. So I have my cardstock here, and I've got a lot of it sort of pre-prepped in a way. I have my pool party. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4.25. Now you always want to fold into the mountain, which is the bump side. And what that does is that has broken down the paper, and it makes this side of your paper very, very even. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to use my bone folder and get a really good crease. Now, this particular card, I am using Pool Party and Coastal Cabana. I love those colors together. Bermuda Bay is another one that I just absolutely love. So this piece happens to be 4 by 5.25. And then we have a piece to go onto the front that's basic white, and it is 3.75 by 5. And I've actually cut off 2 of those particular ones because I like that size also for the inside of my card. All right, so let's start working on part of this card. So it was kind of a plain card, so I thought I'd come in with these artistic, these are the stencils, and they come with 4 or 5 different stencils. So I'm just going to put that over top of my my basic white piece of cardstock. I have a blending brush. These brushes are amazing. So I'm going to come in with Coastal Cabana, and I'm actually going to just come in and sponge this. Now, I know this looks like a really messy uh, stamp pad, but honestly, when you blend and you go into the inside here, go in here. That way you're not going to get real big blotches. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay some color down onto this particular, onto my card front. I just want some bit of a background. It gives a tiny bit of texture, and that really kind of adds to it. Now, carefully, I'm going to just lift this up and see where I've got these pieces. I don't want it all the way to the edge. I kind of just want to have it go randomly. And it can go a little bit lighter up in some areas. And I think that'll work. There we go. So, and this you can just easily wash underneath your under the tap, and it'll be just fine. All right. So when I go to put this on, I thought, well, I could layer it like this and like this, but honestly, I wanted to have a bit of texture, or I wanted to have a bit of interest with it. So I'm going to come in, and I could either use my glue, or I could use my Stampin' Seal. And I think for today, what I'll do is I'll use my Stampin' Seal. I think my glue is almost out. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put that there. Now, I want to make sure that I've got it opening the right way. And then I'm just going to kind of just put this off. Now, if you're a linear type person, you may not enjoy this part of the card, but you could always line it up. It's not, it isn't a big deal. So then I'm going to come back in with the white that I did the stenciling with. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in the opposite direction. There we go. So it's not a linear card, but it's going to be a little tiny bit different. Okay, so I also have, I went and I cut out. Now there's just a regular outside cut with this die, and I cut out this bucket. Now I didn't want it to be a bucket where it looks like a bucket. I wanted it to be kind of like, I don't know if you've gone to craft swaps or something like that. And basically what it is, they have a bunch of buckets on the table that you can throw your scraps in. Well, that's kind of what I wanted it to kind of look like. So this, I'm using these photopolymer stamp sets. Now, photopolymer stamp sets, they don't have any cushion like the regular clear mount or the rubber stamps. So consequently, what happens is that it doesn't have enough cushion. So that's the reason why I'm using the paper piercing mat. Now I'm hoping I'm going to get this straight. I'm bringing this down and I want it kind of in the middle. So this is Bermuda Bay that I used. There we go. That'll work. And then I don't know if you've noticed, there's these little pieces here. So I thought, well, I can kind of gussy up that a little bit. So I cut those pieces out. And I think I can go ahead and glue them onto here and make it just look like it's kind of, oops, this one's going to have to go with this one, I think. And then just like, oh, that one's too short. No, there's another one there. And we're just going to put this along the top up there. So it's kind of giving a little bit of texture to this bucket. All right, so let's just hope that I have enough glue in here. There we go. And now that might be a little too much glue on there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let it set so that we can, sorry about that. I should just run and get that other glue. But we're going to let that set and then it's not going to ooze out so much. Now, the other part that what we want to do is we want to take a piece of basic white. And we are just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this part here. So I have that already mounted. Now I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blends with this. So I want to use Memento ink on there. Now you could use markers. You could use watercoloring with it as well. I just find it's quite detailed, so it's easier to work with the blends. So at this point, whoops, that's how that's going to look. Now there is a die to cut that out, but I've already cut it out. And I've also gone ahead and colored it. I'm going to give you a clue, or a hint. One thing that's really, really important, if you are going to be doing any coloring, and it does take a lot of time to color, and you find that you take all that effort to color, you might as well cut it out first. Because if you don't cut it out first, what could happen is, and you know what, I went and I have a piece, and I can show you that if when it cuts out, and then you end up, it's all backwards. And this is part of my hints for today, because you want to cut it and then let's color it. So I'm just going to show you briefly how I did color this. I've already got it cut and colored. I brought in an array of colors, and I'll just tell you how I went about and did this, colored this. So I already have this colored. So I used Pool Party right here on the back here. I used a light Bermuda Bay on the handles of the scissors. And then with the scissor blades, I used a light gray granite. And then with the pink colors, I used Flirty Flamingo. And then I used Pool Party, like I say, Pool Party and the light Bermuda Bay for some of these. And then I used Highland Heather, and this was a yellow. So I, like I say, cut it out first and then color it. And then if you do make an error, you can go ahead and stamp another one and it'll be quite easy. So I've got that already done up. All right, so this is, I think it's set enough. So I'm just going to go in. You don't have as much wiggle room when you let it set. But I just wanted, like I say, a tiny bit of, whoops, now see, I got some glue on there. I'm going to tell you another hint. The beauty of these sponges is you can go right in with a sponge and take that off just like that, and it takes it off. Don't know why, but it works. There we go. All right, so now we're ready to start putting this card together. So I'm going to bring this back in. I could make this just like this and add that on there, and that could be the card. But to me, it needed something to show more like it was crafting. So what I did was I went and I used the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper, and it's on the back of the other colors. And what I did was I cut 1 inch by 1.5 inch paper. And all I'm doing is I wanted this to look like, I think this will go this way. I wanted it to kind of look like a bunch of Designer Series paper that was going to sit like this behind here. So all I did was we're just going to fan that out, and it would be easier to glue it, but I'm going to take it like this, and I know that that's the way I want it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm taking my tear and tape, and I am going to just get this across the back. That's how we're going to glue it together for the time being. And it won't matter if this curls a little bit or whatever. And now this can go, let's say, it can go behind here. And then this is going to go like this, just like that. All right. So I can go ahead and let's go ahead and put this right on top of there. So I'm just going to come back in with that glue that I'm going to be so frustrated with. Well, we're going to have to use the seal. And then we're just going to put our fan of Designer Series paper behind here. So see, that's kind of adds quite a bit more to the dimension of this particular thing. So this is going to get popped up. This is going to go behind. But then I want to have a little bit more dimension. I just want some more stuff on here. So what I can do is I can turn around and I could glue this onto here, but I think I'm going to do it in two things. But I want to add some of this baker's twine behind it, just so it gives, and I'm going to use the white. This is the Essential Baker's Twine. I'm going to use the white. So let me just go put some stuff right on here. And that is just so that I can take my twine and I'm just going to loop my twine. I just want it to like I say, it's going to give a bit more dimension on here. Let's see how that looks from the front. Probably a little bit across here. And you know what? I'm just going to come in and maybe cut this. There we go. And I'm going to give you another hint. We've got this coming out here, and it's going to go on here. And that just looks like we got a bunch of ribbon all over our desk. This is the whole what's behind what I'm thinking. I am now coming in with my embossing buddy, which is part of the embossing kit. And I'm just going to just dab that a bit, because what I want to do is I want to pop this up a bit. And I find that the dimensionals don't stick as well on there. So we can hold some of this twine down with dimensionals. I love dimensionals, so I use lots of dimensionals. Now, I don't want it to be right down to this part, because I kind of want that to stick up a bit. So I'm going to come in with my Take Your Pick tool. Let's just take this backing off. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and let's just put that right onto there. Now we want to make sure that that's in the right spot. So let's just move that up just a tad. There we go. And now I can put dimensionals on the back of this. We don't want our pieces to dip down. So that's why I probably didn't put those quite in the right spot. But there we go. Now, this is going to go down, and then this is going to go right on here. There we go. And okay, that's working. And then now what we can do is I'm just going to come in with these glossy dots. And I'm going to use this pool party. You always try to put this in groups of uneven numbers. And they usually say to do it in a triangle. Kind of is a triangle. All right. And then for the inside of the card, what we want to do is we just want to put anything on there. We could do a welcome on there. We could do, this is another one that you could use as well on there. But let's go in and let's put welcome. And I think on this one, I might do this as a welcome to my team. So I'm just coming in with my block. Let's just take this off. Line my block up. Looks a little crooked. And I'm going to use Bermuda Bay. And again, this is a photopolymer stamp set. So I'm going to come in with my paper piercing mat. Go welcome off to the side here. And then on this piece here, I don't know if this is going to fit onto that little tiny block or not. I think we'll have to do it on here. Does this say? Not even sure what this says. To the Stampin' Up family. So This is crooked. Okay, so we're just going to line this up onto our grid paper. Just put this straight down on there. And then let's try this to see if we've got it straight. Not too bad. And it's just going to go off to the side there. So there's that to go on the inside. In with our seal again. And then we're just going to put this on. Whoops. All right. I don't know where my seal went to. There we go, right in front of me. That doesn't happen to you, right? Okay. So I hope you're enjoying this World Card Making Day. I hope you enjoyed that little tip that I have about cutting out your dies first if you're going to color them. There you go. And there's my card. So I hope you enjoyed that. Leave a comment, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations. Bye for now.